I don't see why you didn't put passenger before railroad. That would make way more sense. The railroad doesn't, go on to the passengers.
Yes.
You gotta carry the Amtrak train over the Colorado Mount Rockies.
I love how we can talk about our local Amtrak service, the Zephyr, without it being a local reference because it's also in 20 other states.
Willkommen in Internet! Live aus der Marriott Library Ort der University Dota! Das ist der Red Line Podcast! Ich bin it!
Why'd you sound so angry?
It's German.
German is a very peaceful and not aggravated language.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, for real this time though. Welcome to the Internet. Live from the Marriott Library at the University of Utah, this is the Red Line Podcast. I'm your host, Connor Dunstan, and these are my co-hosts,
Kyle Holland and
Alex Fielder. This week, it's all about the National Railroad Passengers Corporation, also known as Amtrak. We'll talk Zephyrs, corridors, and Union stations. Why did I say it like that?
Try that again, and also it's passenger singular, not plural.
One passenger?
Yeah, it just carries Joe Biden around.
Okay.
You think I'm kidding, but Joe Biden has taken 2,800 trips on Amtrak in his life.
Whew. He should... Well, anyway. Alex Fielder. This week, it's all about the National Railroad Passenger Singular Corporation, also known as Amtrak. We'll talk Zephyrs, corridors, and Union stations. All this after the news.
That was actually pretty good.
Okay, so today's news is slightly different. As we all know, ridership on almost every transit system in the world took a steep dive a few years ago due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and it still hasn't fully recovered in a lot of places. Growth has been slow for a lot of reasons, but two stories in Mass Transit magazine this week provide a hint of where ridership will be found going forward. First, the New York City subway had its highest ever post-pandemic Sunday ridership the last 3 weeks for a number of reasons. That includes a marathon and also people just wanting to do stuff on Sundays. So
that's cool.
Last Sunday was 83% of pre-pandemic ridership on Sunday for the New York subway.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's
considering that they're still getting under 65 on weekdays most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. And then Houston's Metro Rail, which is their itty-bitty light rail system, had its third highest ridership day ever.
Congratulations.
Yeah, carrying over 105,000 riders in a single day on Monday the 7th.
Nice.
Why was that?
Astros parade, because the Astros were in the World Series, which I believe they lost to the Phillies. Congratulations, Philadelphia, remaining the best city in America. But seriously, yeah, so I believe they had a parade to send them off or bring them back or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine wanting to do anything on Sunday as someone who comes from Utah.
No, that's against the Lord.
I couldn't imagine anything being open on Sunday, let alone having service on Sunday.
Yes, that is true.
Kind of hard to get weekend ridership when you barely have weekend service.
So, these two cases show what transit providers must prioritize going forward. Off-peak, event service, and weekend service are where ridership is rebounding and growing the fastest, and agencies must invest to take advantage of new demand and new travel patterns. And then also I should mention that I have been hearing through the rumor mill at UTA that 15-minute Saturday track service may be coming next August change.
Which is in about a year?
Yeah. Well, under a year now.
Oh.
We're almost to December.
Oh,
change,
right.
pal.
I forget time keeps continuing. Well, that's a nice rumor to hear on the
Also,
grapevine.
we may get 20-minute service on Sundays as well.
Let's go.
20 minutes? Oh.
That would be insanely better.
This is part of the reason why they did the single car thing on Sundays, is to save manpower for doing more service in the future.
Or not necessarily single car, but general fixed length
Oh yeah, general
consist,
fixed consist, yeah.
which should probably be longer in some situations.
No, they shouldn't. 3 cars is more than enough to accommodate red line travel.
Oh, I was speaking to the 1-car weekend ones.
Oh, yeah, no, just stick 2 cars. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's not going to save you that much money, and those things are full. It's not fun.
It's okay to let your passengers be comfortable.
No. Just cram them in like sardines.
What is this, the ski bus?
Oh,
What
good
ski
Lord.
bus?
Speaking of the ski bus, it's going to run every 30 minutes, and we're going to just be completely crammed in there.
I read on the UTA ski service webpage that they're going to have police escorts at the park and rides during peak times on the ski bus.
I'm sure they are, which is why we will be going to the first station, which is a track station. And we can get off there and get on before everybody else tries to, is the idea.
Yeah.
Oh. Hopefully everyone else does not think of that.
There won't. They always go to the actual park and rides,
Oh, yeah.
which are up near the canyon. So,
Yeah.
That seems like a poor decision, but
well, don't spread the news of this because I would like to be able to ride the ski bus.
And if anybody out there is looking for work, UTA is hiring.
Yeah, bus drivers, tracks drivers, not front runner drivers at the moment, but
Meadowbrook Garage, ski bus. You could drive a ski bus.
I can't drive a ski bus. I don't have
You
a CDL.
in the generic...
I
Oh,
don't.
no worry. UTA will help you get your CDL.
Yeah. Also, they provide competitive pay and benefits starting at $19.20 something an hour
do
for
they have
all operator positions.
dental and vision?
They do.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm sold.
Are subsidized, like you have to pay, but it's cheap,
Okay.
Not as
like
excited.
$20 a month or something.
Oh,
Okay.
All right.
So
And
Anyway.
are they still trying to raise pay with the union and all
yes,
that? I wish them the best. This is a plug for UTA because we would like to ride the ski bus. Thank
yeah,
you.
and I work there, and I would like to have more coworkers. So
Yeah.
Those rumors aren't going to make themselves.
no, so that was our UTA ad/news of the day.
Oh, yeah. Ridership rebound. Off-peak event service, weekend service. Maybe, just maybe, COVID was a positive turning point for transit in general because
Boo!
historically-
Boo! Peak transportation, the only good.
historically a lot of transit systems have tried to capture one type of trip, and that is the 9 to 5 office commute trip in which you're taking the train because the freeway is clogged up, which is honestly not a very good trip to capture for the long-term growth of your system. So maybe it's good that we're now being forced to expand and serve everything.
All right, you're gonna have to bleep this real quick.
Bleep.
9 to 5.
Yeah.
I think that was less than 3 seconds, so it falls under fair use.
Yeah, something like
It's
that.
very clearly a transformative work.
Well,
we can also just sing it as well, but
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living, barely getting by. It's all taken and no giving.
commuting 1 hour on the most congested freeway from my suburban house, 20 miles from city center.
20 miles, that's generous.
Yeah, I
I think
know.
it'd be way further than that.
I'm using Salt Lake numbers.
Boom, 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 boom. Okay, but there are still a lot of people commuting from Provo to Salt Lake.
Why?
'Cause big
Because
city.
they want to live in Provo and there are 400,000 day jobs in Salt Lake City
Yeah, that's fair. They should take
compared to
forever.
like 100,000 people that live and work here.
That's fair. They should take front runner, and Salt Lake should build more houses. And front runner
that is a
should be more
surprisingly
better.
hot take.
Hot take.
Flaming hot take. Like nobody's ever thought of this before.
Burning hot.
Wait until
Hot
the NIMBYs
flooded.
see you.
Take it and see. I got a fever. Okay. Anyway, this has been the very extended news. So, the eternal question. What is an Amtrak and what does it do?
Everybody asks, what is Amtrak? Nobody asks, how is Amtrak?
Oh, everyone asks how is Amtrak, and
Yeah.
the answer
No.
the answer is fairly clear. The answer is shit. But no. So Amtrak is the United States national passenger rail provider, one of only 4 companies providing intercity rail service in the United States.
Wait, there are other ones?
Yeah.
Let me guess, some East Coast tomfoolery happening?
Incorrect.
Really?
So the other 3 are quite random. One is Brightline,
Okay, that makes sense.
which operates
Florida.
but in Florida in the future between Orlando and Miami. So,
Nice.
which is also an Amtrak service.
Committing
Already.
Darwinism against drivers. since whenever Brightline started
Yes.
being a thing.
Yes, Brightline is very base, mostly because it creams a car every 2 days.
Creams the car.
I wonder how
Like
much.
this-
I wonder how much
That thing goes-
Brightline alone contributes to like death statistics for
Many.
rail.
Many. Then there's the Rocky Mountaineer, which operates between like 2 random towns, one in Chicago and one in Utah.
Oh, I saw this.
What?
I saw this on a drive to Moab, Utah. I was passenger in the car, and I saw the train going up the Amtrak tracks. I'm like, that's awful short. Wait, that's a passenger train. What the hell? Amtrak doesn't go down here.
Yeah, so it operates kind of its own little deal. It's just like a luxury vacation train that you can take for 2 days over the Rocky Mountains to see all the pretty
Yes,
sights.
it takes 2 days to get from Grand
It's like
Junction
200
or wherever
miles.
to.
It's incredibly slow. Like, if people think Amtrak is slow, they should try the
Wait,
Mountaineer.
wait. Did you say 2 days from Grand Junction to Moab?
Yeah.
Yeah, the train also only travels during
Amtrak does in, like,
daylight,
6
and they'll
hours.
hook you up with a hotel in the middle. Because you can't, enjoy the scenery from the train when it's dark.
Two days.
It's a
Well,
vacation train.
It's-
Very much.
If you
Wow.
thought Amtrak spun things as an experience,
Which it
this-
doesn't that much.
just a little bit.
Only on the Zephyr.
and the surface marketing on the long distance routes. This is the full extent of that. It's also very expensive.
It's incredibly expensive. It's
Oh.
one of the most expensive trains in the world. But yeah, it goes Denver to Grand Junction, to Moab, and it's just its own little weird railroad.
And it goes very slowly, which is fitting for using
I
the
don't
Union
know if
Pacific
it
track.
counts as a passenger railroad really, but we'll stick it in there.
Huh.
Since
We-
it's not doing anything.
We're looking for scraps at this
Well,
point.
Right.
Hopefully I'll see it when I go to Grand Junction this Friday.
Colorado,
And then the other one is the Alaska Railroad, which operates year-round passenger and freight service between Fairbanks and Anchorage, and that's basically it.
Seems good.
During the summer season, they have everyday round-trip passenger service between the two. But during the winter, they only do it once a week on Saturdays and Sundays. So there's every Saturday a northbound train leaves the Fairbanks, and every Sunday a southbound goes back to Anchorage.
That's a
What?
service pattern.
Well, why?
First of all, you try running a train in Alaska in the winter.
Yeah, that's fair.
And second of all, there's no tourists to help out like there is in the summer.
I've also heard that there's a number of residences out in Alaska
A lot.
whose only link to the rest of civilization is via rail.
Right?
And they just come flag
Not
down
via
the train.
rail, Alaska Railroad.
Sorry, via rail. Via Alaska rail. And then they go flag down the train and the train lets them on.
That
Yeah.
sounds like the dream.
It's literally a thing, and you can literally just stand next to the tracks because it doesn't go very fast because Alaska. You can just
Also-
stand next to the tracks and
Yeah.
flag the thing down.
Alaska,
Wow.
also tourism, also it's stopping to pick people up off the side of the tracks.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera.
So it's quite a service. But those are the only 4 passenger railroads in the United States.
So we've got one huge one budding one, and 2 weird minor ones.
Yeah, the one huge one being Brightline. No. But I cannot stress enough to people just how enormous of a scale Amtrak operates on. Amtrak serves over 500 stations in 46 states on 21,400 miles of track, in addition to buses that connect to their rail services because as a national corporation, they're required to provide service basically everywhere. So if the place doesn't have
Rails.
Amtrak service and it's a big city, guess what? You're going to have an Amtrak bus you can take to the nearest train.
Wait, did you say 46 states?
46
so
states.
Besides Hawaii,
Alaska, Hawaii, South Dakota, and Wyoming don't have any trains in them.
Is there just
South
nobody
Dakota
in South
doesn't?
Dakota or Wyoming?
There are people, and also you can get an Amtrak bus.
Right.
I understand Wyoming, but South Dakota's...
I think this is on the Amtrak map. There's 3 big east-west routes, so there's just a gap in there that's big
yeah.
enough to
Yeah, between the
encapsulate
Zephyr
those
and the
states.
Empire Builder, there's just this little gap between and Wyoming and South Dakota there.
Well.
So, Yeah, 21,000 miles of track. They operate 300 daily trains. They have 17,000 employees, and they provide commuter rail service, or help provide commuter rail service, for 11 local transit agencies.
Sounds good.
They do a lot.
Sounds like a powerhouse.
Devil works hard, Amtrak works harder. The devil
Sounds
being
about
the United
right.
States freeway system.
Not to mention they're, constantly fighting with all their host railroads to be able to even run these 300 trains a day to begin with.
Right. Amtrak owns under 500 miles of track that it operates over, which leads to some rather unfortunate results in terms of frequency and speed on its longer distance routes, as well as the fact that the 3 transcontinental routes in particular are notorious for unreliability. Just because they
Freight
just
scheduling
spend
nonsense.
literally 2,000 miles over Union Pacific and BNSF track, neither of which want them there.
BNSF, the engine that connects us.
Sure.
The engine that makes corporate profits at the expense of
Infrastructure.
making
For
anything
Warren Buffett,
useful.
question mark?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
It's
Exclamation
owned by
point.
Berkshire Hathaway, I think.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah. Everything's owned by Berkshire
It's-
Hathaway, though.
Yeah, I always saw advertisements for BNSF after the news hour on PBS, and I was like, oh,
Why
cool.
would you advertise that?
It's probably a public image thing. Like, why do big oil producers advertise?
What's
it
the
so
public
that
going to
It-
do
public
against
doesn't
them?
have bad public opinion?
It was memorable enough that I remember it.
But people can buy oil. You can't, buy a boxcar filled with coal. So, Amtrak, huge. And also, I would like to put forward a very controversial opinion I have that is going to make everyone in this room and on the internet very mad.
I thought you weren't going to say anything controversial.
I
this
lied.
episode.
I'm evil and I'm a deceiver of lies.
That's fine.
So, would you like to hear this controversial opinion?
I'm listening.
Amtrak is the best intercity rail service in the Western Hemisphere. Prove me wrong.
Is this because, all of continental Europe is in the Eastern Hemisphere?
It is. Or I shouldn't say in the Western Hemisphere because I guess technically, no, that's not true either. Yeah,
I have
in
no
the
reason.
Americas. So who has better? Via rail? Ha!
The Go Transit?
Mexico got rid of their passenger rail service.
Rude.
Brazil doesn't have a national rail carrier. Argentina doesn't.
Oh, come on. Argentina could have, the longest route ever.
All they have is commuter rail for Buenos Aires, and that's it.
Does Chile have a big long train? No.
Nope.
Then I have no reason to
America
disagree
has
with you.
the best passenger rail service in the Americas.
That's depressing.
America!
America!
Yes! Number 1.
USA.
That is
USA.
outright sad.
USA. Okay, well, and I mean, to be fair, the NEC is actually, good.
Okay, other than the NEC. NEC is Pog.
I mean, it's not great, but it's acceptable.
Okay, out here we get 1 train per direction per day.
Yeah, and a connecting commuter rail service that runs every half hour.
Yeah,
Occasionally.
that's cool.
No, but, Amtrak is not as bad as people make it out to be. Especially compared to our neighbors. Via rail, their transcontinental train runs once a week. And we have 3 that run once a day. The corridor service between London, Ontario, and Quebec just sucks. It's no Acela. It's barely even a Northeast regional level of service. So, it's not great, and it could certainly be better, but it's the best in the Americas, and God bless the United States. Kyle is not happy.
I'm going to read this as Amtrak is good in the NEC and has a lot of potential for future cross-country service that doesn't suck.
Just get a car, you hippie.
Yes, because driving across the country is famously faster than taking a train across the country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's say you're going
Assuming
alone
it isn't
because you have to
garbage.
sleep.
Yeah.
Assuming you're not doing the race from LA to New York.
Oh my goodness. Also assuming you're at least pretending to follow traffic laws.
Traffic
and you haven't
laws.
souped up your car
Traffic
with
laws,
a trunk full of
schmaffic
gas.
laws. Everyone breaks
You
them.
don't have nitrous oxide in your trunk.
But as far as actual practical travel.
It's nice to
Just
be able
fly.
to...
Yeah.
Flying!
Or
Like-
take the high-speed train across the country.
There's never going to be a high-speed train across the country. It's economically infeasible.
Higher speed.
If by higher speed you mean like 79, yes.
125?
No. Economically infeasible.
79 good.
125 on the flat parts.
Well, that's easy. So, yes.
And then less on the not so flat parts.
There you go.
Good compromise.
Yeah, I
Across the
agree.
country in 24 hours, maybe 30.
New York to LA in 2 days is pretty reasonable.
I'd be happy with that. I'd be very happy with that.
That'd be
Yeah.
actually very excellent. Especially since the current Amtrak trip for doing that's like 4.5 days.
Really?
So-
I thought it was shorter than that.
Because you got to do like basically 2 days to Chicago. And then you transfer, which since all the trains run once a day, that can be like a 10-hour layover. And then you transfer to a train that takes 3 days to get to California.
Assuming it's not horribly
Assuming
delayed.
it's not horribly delayed,
Amtrak.
which it will be because it's a
You know, Amtrak really loves pretending they're an airline. 10-hour layover, if you like.
Waiting at
okay,
the
well,
gate.
you try and doing it with try and do good transfers with
Yeah.
once-a-day trains that are always delayed by Union Pacific and BNSF and CSX and
Utah Rail.
what's the other one? There's one more. Norfolk Southern. There you go. That's all the railroads.
Yep.
So, anyway, what services doth the Amtrak operateth?
The California Zephyr.
That is one of them. That is objectively one of the worst ones of them.
Cool.
The best Amtrak route in Utah.
Yeah.
Woo!
Let's
Woo!
go.
USA! US! No. So, Amtrak services largely fall into 3 categories: Northeast Corridor routes, state-sponsored routes, and long-distance routes.
I guess let's start with the Northeast Corridor because that's the
Because that's
Poggers
the
one.
good one, right. So, the NEC is the location of Amtrak's fastest and most frequent service.
Because, get this, Amtrak owns the tracks.
Yes.
And
Wait.
put electricity on them, too.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
So through the magic of not being physically prevented from running service,
Amtrak runs service. I know, what a concept. So, Amtrak runs the Acela, America's only, parentheses, sort of, close parentheses.
higher speed.
Hey, it's
train.
high-speed rail. It goes 160.
Where?
New Jersey, they installed a new 27-mile section that you can go 160 over.
Oh, that's
Whoa.
cool, actually.
160?
Yeah.
I would not want
Previous
to get
top speed was
pancaked by
150.
that.
Well, there's no
Okay.
grade crossings.
Well,
I will slap a solid sort of high speed on that one
That is
segment.
technically
that's
high-speed rail.
very high speed for America.
That one little piece is technically
Well,
high
if a
speed.
service operates over high-speed track, it's considered high-speed rail by the... And there are other sections of fast track.
There's not very many, and it's just not that much of a percentage of the whole route. Solid potential.
Solid potential. So, it's America's only sort of high-speed rail service along this route, as well as the Northeast Regional, which provides local service. Along with Amtrak, several local commuter rail agencies, SEPTA, MARC, NJT, Metro North, the MBTA, and I think it's just CTA, Connecticut Transportation Agency.
I think so, yeah. Or is that Chicago? Other CTA?
There's more than one, I guarantee
Oh,
it.
goodness.
Because
Hey.
we all just use the same 3 acronyms.
At least we can
Or
pronounce
initials.
these Northeast acronyms.
SEPTA's a good one.
The Society for
I
the
like
Elimination
SEPTA.
of Passenger Trains in America.
Not anymore. They run commuter services on the Northeast Corridor.
Wow.
So the funny thing about the Northeast Corridor is that Amtrak kind of operates like the through service on it, right? Like the Acela makes major stops in like major cities, and the Northeast Regional makes all stops.
That makes sense as a national passenger railroad.
But if you really wanted to, you could take like MARC from Washington D.C. to Baltimore, SEPTA.
What do you want to bet there's a Miles in Transit video about this?
There is SEPTA from Baltimore to Philly, NJT from Philly to New York, Metro North from New York to like Hartford, and the MBTA from Hartford to Boston. And it would take you like 10 hours, but you could do it. Or probably like 12 hours.
You know, that sounds a lot more fun than taking obscenely long connecting local bus routes in Utah. Because trains are fun.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, like there's a lot more service on the Northeast Corridor than you would think from just looking at Amtrak schedules. Is what I'm trying to say
It's not
here.
just Amtrak. There's plenty of track capacity to go around. Do they have 3 tracks the whole way through, or is it mostly just double track?
4 tracks the whole way through.
Really? The whole thing's quad track?
quad
it
track.
runs a lot of service, and Acela skips a lot of stops, and there's freight rail that still goes on the Northeast Corridor, and there's a lot of commuter service, so I believe that almost the whole thing is quad-tracked.
Cool, because I've seen videos where they'll have like a platform with like 3 tracks or something, but I guess quad track makes a lot of sense.
3 tracks, we're going to have to do an episode on express service someday and why 3 tracks are actually a bad idea.
Well, yeah, because you can't run express in both directions.
Right, you can only run peak hour. So,
Man, the capacity.
yeah, so the Northeast Corridor can move a lot of people, and it does move a lot of people. Amtrak pre-pandemic ridership, and that's Amtrak only, right?
Not all these other services.
Okay, keep
which
that
are
in mind.
Doing all your locals.
20 million a year.
Reasonable.
A lot, right? Now, let's expand the picture a little bit to our local agencies. How many people do you think pre-pandemic rode at any point on the Northeast Corridor on the average weekday pre-pandemic? Take a guess. Like, just throw it out there.
500,000.
I don't think I could guess. I don't know enough.
900,000. Almost a million people.
Dang.
So, the sucker moves.
That's a lot of service.
Yeah. And so the Northeast Corridor is something, especially between New York City and Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Acela is, for now, the United States' only high-speed train, operating 16 weekday round trips between Boston South Station and Washington Union Station. Acela is a premium-only service, with only business and first class seats available on board.
Wow. That's like almost our frequency, right?
Yes. Basically, you can get an Acela every hour in both directions. So
That's nice.
it's captured actually a pretty significant portion of the rail air market because like people want to talk about like total mode share across like a transportation route. Like let's say Salt Lake City to Ogden, total mode share of front runners like 2. But like air versus rail, wow, we've captured 100% of the air rail market from here to Ogden.
Great. Does Ogden even have an airport?
Yes.
Does it take commercial airliners?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
So
I did not know about that.
Provo and Ogden both have a regional airport.
But that's such a short distance, and it's so easy to take the train or drive.
Right, and actually, so you'll never guess, but so the rail air market is considered the most important because that's like luxury in quotations travel, and that's the mode share you want to get if you're a high-speed train. You're trying to compete with planes over short distances.
And that's especially a good thing because of the climate.
Yeah, and so Acela actually between Boston and New York City has captured 52% of the rail air market.
Very good amount.
Good.
And then that's a lot longer distance than our local example, and you're going to have a harder time getting from there
Well,
to
sure,
there
it's
by
like
car.
Provo to Ogden.
Yeah.
Because the Northeast, that was a joke. It's not actually that short. I was just making a joke because the Northeast is tiny.
Yeah.
So, Acela also operates at a maximum speed of 160 miles an hour, as we discussed.
On that, like, one spot?
In that one spot. It operates at 150 a few other spots, 125 a lot of spots, and 115 like most of its length.
What's the average speed? Isn't it like
70.
Okay, which is really good.
For something that maxes out at 100,
115?
At 160. Yeah.
For something that maxes out at 115 in most places. That's a respectable number. Especially if you're, like, say, competing against highway travel. That matches highway travel in an imaginary world with no traffic. Completely creams regular travel.
The best Acela schedule that you can get is about 6.5 hours from Boston South Station to Union Station in Washington.
Cool.
Good.
Reasonable, right?
I don't have any context for how long that would take via other modes, but that sounds good.
It's like with no traffic provided. So the Northeast is essentially one large city, right?
Yeah.
Of like 40 million people.
Yeah.
So provided that there is no traffic in a city of 40 million people,
it's an imaginary scenario.
You can drive there in a little over 7 hours.
Which is worse than the Amtrak.
However, you are never going to drive there in that amount of time.
Ever.
Or just drive there in general.
That's just
Good
stupid.
luck.
Doing that would be dumb. So, that's the Acela. It's America's best train. It also looks kind of cool. It has bullet train aesthetics, even if it isn't really one.
Are they still running the, like, tilting train sets?
No. not anymore.
Okay.
That was like way back in the day.
Well, aren't those nauseating to be on?
They can be if you do it wrong.
Like England did.
Like England did with the... We're going to have to talk about the advanced passenger train someday. I completely forgot about that.
That's a name.
Yeah.
So
we're going to have to talk about British trains.
Is it a tilting train?
It was a tilting train.
It was invented in England.
Emphasis on the was.
How early technology are we talking?
That's for a later date.
Okay.
But
early.
Moving on from Acela, you get to the Northeast Regional, which is like the Acela, but
local.
Low.
Cal?
Slow and local.
Local.
Yeah.
Local service is important.
Yeah, so it operates 18 round trips a day between Boston South and Newport News in Norfolk, Virginia.
Wait, Newport News?
Yeah.
Is that a town?
Uh-huh. It's also where they build aircraft carriers.
Oh.
It's a fun fact.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So...
frequency's comparable.
Yeah, and then they operate 15 daily trips on the weekend to make up for Acela's reduced schedules on Saturday and Sunday. Because on Saturdays, Acela operates 4 trains.
Why so much less? Is it just because commuter?
I don't know, man, because they assume there's no business travel on Saturday, and since Acela is traditionally a business service, it operates a lot on Sunday, though. It operates like 12, so...
Why not just do 12 on Saturday and Sunday? Oh, money.
The Northeast Corridor makes money.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, that's a
So Amtrak actually runs trains based on making money there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not to mention the age-old American concept of only running commuter service for office workers who work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, excluding bank holidays.
That's right.
And running service for no one else.
That's right. The only people that need to go anywhere. Everyone else is just doing crime.
Oh, okay, cool.
This is true.
Yeah, okay, and then that's, of course, in addition to all of the other services that run across the NEC, because, like, every route on the East Coast ultimately converges into New York City eventually.
Yeah,
so they all end up on the Northeast Corridor. And then, also the Keystone service, which is Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to New York via Philadelphia, runs 13 trips a day. So there are like 40 Amtrak trips between New York and Philadelphia every day.
Jeez.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I should really like go to the Northeast.
20 to 30 minute frequency equivalent.
Basically, plus the SEPTA and NJT.
Of course, there's more.
Metro North.
Really good for regional service.
Yeah. So, anyway, quite good. State-supported routes. So
we're leaving the
transit
Northeast heaven of the Northeast Corridor.
Not at first. Because we got to talk about the Keystone first.
Okay.
Yeah, so state-supported routes. State-supported routes are more local routes paid for by state DOTs to provide rail service between major cities within their states and nearby. These can be as infrequent as once every day and as frequent as 13 trips a day. It depends where you are.
We discussed this more in our episode featuring Mike Christensen.
Yes, we do, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, notable routes amongst the state-supported routes is the most notable, the Keystone service, which, as we just discussed, runs between New York, Philadelphia, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is the state capital, so that the largest city and state capital of Philadelphia are connected by 13 trains a day, which is pretty impressive. Unlike here, where the largest city is the state capital. Yet owned Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 13 daily round trips. It also runs onto the NEC, so there's a lot of trains between New York and Philly.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Train good, actually.
Yep.
Surprisingly.
The second most frequent intercity rail service outside of the Northeast Corridor is the Pacific Surfliner, which provides service between San Luis Obispo, I think.
You're not as good at this as you are at French.
I don't speak Spanish. Do you speak Spanish?
San Luis Obispo?
San Luis Obispo.
Yep.
I made that sound like it was an incantation or something. Los Angeles and San Diego. 10 daily round trips.
Really? In California?
Uh-huh.
That's cool.
California tries.
California-based.
Okay, well, they're trying pretty hard.
Well, and the other thing about that is you can get Metrolink trains and coaster trains to a station in the middle, so there's more effective frequency along the route, but like
that's what Amtrak runs.
Yeah.
Cool.
The next one is the Capital Corridor, service between San Jose and Sacramento with 9 daily round trips.
Another California one.
Yeah, it is sometimes considered to be a commuter service, and to my knowledge, is the only Amtrak service on the Transit app.
What?
Yeah,
interesting.
It's on the Transit app.
Okay.
That's that. The Downeaster, which is another one of these. This one's supported by Maine. It's like kind of a infrequent northern extension of the Northeast Corridor. It takes from Boston's North Station to Portland, Maine.
Oh, I thought that said Portland, Oregon.
No, Portland, Maine.
Aw, boring.
Because the cursed thing about Boston, right, is it has 2 major rail stations, South Station and North Station.
Is there something linking these?
There is not.
Wasn't there supposed to be as part of the Big Dig?
There was.
Why don't we have that?
So the Northeast Corridor could continue further north if it wanted to.
If the Big Dig hadn't been botched so badly.
But North Station and South Station are only connected by non-revenue track. So there you go.
So if the Big Dig had followed through on its promise to
not
connect
being
those
a pack
two,
of lies, yeah.
then the Northeast Corridor proper could just straight up continue.
I mean, I don't know if it would be worth it to continue the NEC to maybe a few Northeast regional trains could go to Portland, Maine, but like otherwise.
But you could through run some trains if you wanted to, which is good.
For example, Montreal.
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah.
What, did they check your passport on the train?
There are Amtrak trains that go to Canada.
America train.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We're going to learn about them later.
Cool.
The next most frequent one is the Amtrak Cascades, which is like the precursor of the future Northwest Regional. What's weird about the Cascades is it doesn't through run all trains, and it's a really complex service pattern, but from the 2 major cities on the route, Portland and Seattle, you can expect 6 trains a day to the opposite city, and then infrequent trains to Vancouver and south of Portland.
Okay.
Cool.
It's very complicated.
As long as the people who live there understand it.
They do use tilting trains.
Why?
Because they bought some old Talgo train sets to run on the thing.
And
so
they
happen
to be tilting?
And they happen to be tilting trains.
Even though they don't really need it?
Yeah.
Huh.
All right.
So there you go. Those are going out of service pretty soon because they're really old, but
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sweet.
Anyway, fun fact.
Northwest Regional when?
Someday.
Northwest Express when?
West Coast Regional.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
God wills it. And then the other one that's kind of notable is Illinois. Yes. Which has quite, really taken advantage of Amtrak. It has 4 state-supported Amtrak services to, all of its different little weird towns, and also to Missouri and Wisconsin.
This is the big example Mike Christensen used in his report about Utah potential state-sponsored Amtrak, because there's just so much of it here.
Yeah, there's a lot in... It's not very frequent, but it exists, and that's nice.
Seems like they're using it for what it should have been used for.
I think most of them run twice a day, which is...
I think there are some 3 times a day ones, too.
Yeah. So, there you go.
Better than nothing.
Better than nothing, that's right.
Better than Utah.
And then...
For now.
So those are some state-sponsored routes. Obviously, I'm glossing over a lot here, because
the future
there are
50
routes in
Utah,
routes.
From Logan to almost St. George.
Sure.
And from Salt Lake area to Grand Junction, Colorado.
Yes, Kyle.
Hopefully...
I'm just plugging our other episode.
I know you're plugging our other episode.
But train to Logan, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, Logan should be a front-runner extension. That's my controversial opinion.
I agree.
It's not. It shouldn't be an Amtrak route. It should be a
front-runner. It should be a front-runner extension.
Or the Cache Valley Transit District train.
Oh my God! Cache Valley Transit District runs commuter service to Ogden.
If UDOT
where you have to do a linear transfer to front-runner.
Yeah.
If UDOT wants some practice doing track construction, they could get working towards Brigham City.
That'd be
I'm waiting.
That'd be hilarious. So, those are the state-sponsored routes that I've chosen to cover. Obviously, there are more, and I don't care about them.
Next, the long-distance routes.
Amtrak's long-distance routes are the stuff of legend. Some span the entire continent and are thousands of miles long. Others run through the most scenic regions the North American continent has to offer. All of Amtrak's long-distance routes run once per direction per day.
Service like so once per direction per day, and then you end up with stuff like the California and Zephyr in Utah, where the departures are at like 11 p.m. and 3 a.m.
Well, it's because they time it up so you don't see Utah.
Oh,
it's
we're not cool.
So you sleep through Utah and you wake up in beautiful Colorado.
Honestly,
and then in beautiful Nevada/California.
Yeah.
Because it goes through the boring part of Utah.
It goes through the awful bit of the Great Basin.
Yeah.
See, this is what I was talking about earlier with Amtrak spinning their long-distance routes to appeal somewhat to just going on the train to go on the train and see the sights.
And the other thing is the DNRGW main line that runs through Salt Lake City is an incredibly busy freight corridor.
Gotcha.
So there is also like an ulterior motive to that, is that reducing conflict with Union Pacific and Utah Railway trains.
Yeah, that makes sense. We do just have the two freight tracks going north-south, and that's it.
Sometimes it's quad-tracked.
Sometimes.
Sometimes it's like 5 tracks.
Yeah. Anyway, so notable routes include the Empire Service, which is Chicago to Portland and Seattle via the northern states.
Portland, Maine, or Portland, Oregon?
Oregon.
Cool.
The good one. Roughly 2,200 miles. What's interesting about the Empire
Builder?
Service, yeah, which is the Empire Builder. I don't know why it says Empire Service there.
Because you wrote it wrong?
Yeah, probably. What's interesting about it is that the route begins simultaneously in Portland and Seattle and then merges together to become one train in Spokane, Washington.
Right.
Yeah. So it starts as 2 trains that like leave at the same time to meet in Spokane, and then they become one train to go all the way to Chicago.
I mean,
And the same thing happens in reverse.
I mean, why do branch service and run 2 trains a day when you could do this and run 1 train a day to save money?
It's great. I love it.
Wait.
That's cursed.
You know it's great. You know you love it.
2 trains.
You love America.
Is there at least a nice station in Spokane?
I believe so, yes.
Okay,
and it's normally a pretty fast operation because they literally just they pull the locomotive off one end of the thing, get it out of the way, and then shove the trains onto the cars onto the other one, hook it together.
That is unreal.
Off across the continent.
And with what Amtrak dwell times are already, that's not really an issue.
Yeah. Amtrak spends a lot of time at its stations.
Well, yeah, because they board all the passengers single file.
Well, and because people have to get off.
Airport
for breaks and stuff.
Like it's an airplane.
Yes, Kyle. Another notable long-distance service is the Coast Starlight, which runs to from Los Angeles to Seattle via San Francisco and Portland. 1,377 miles. That's probably, in my opinion, like the second most scenic Amtrak route. Like, because you're going through the whole of like the Cascade Crest.
Doesn't that one have like the tracks that are like on the literal coast of California that get flooded sometimes?
That's actually the Surfliner that we were talking about.
Oh, right.
I took the Coastal Starlight.
You have taken the Coast Starlight.
Yeah. Beautiful train.
Yes, it is. Then, the crown jewel of them all, the California Zephyr.
I feel like you're a bit biased here.
Shut up. Amtrak's longest and arguably most scenic route, running from Chicago to San Francisco. Actually, Emeryville, it doesn't go to San Francisco. Via Denver and Salt Lake City. And it's the longest Amtrak route in existence at 2,438 miles. Whew. Woo. It's a long sucker, right?
Yeah.
Another notable route, the Lakeshore Limited, New York or Boston to Chicago via Albany, Syracuse, Buffalo, and Cleveland. This doesn't do the Portland thing. It just alternates based on the day.
Why not just run 2 trains a day?
Because Portland and Seattle are large enough cities that they warrant daily service to Spokane.
Okay, but 2 trains a day on the main route would mean 1 train per day on the branches.
You think BNSF's going to stand for that?
And herein lies the problem with the Amtrak model.
Yeah, which we're going to talk about next episode when we get into all the history and stuff. This is like this was going to become the longest episode of all time if I tried to put everything I wanted to here. So we're not. And then the Silver Star / Silver Meteor, there are 2 different routes, but they have like the slight route deviation in Georgia.
Okay.
To serve different areas of Georgia.
Huh.
They run from NYC to Miami via 2 different routes, one of which hits Atlanta, either 1,389 or 1,522 miles. And then Amtrak's final transcontinental route, the Southwest Chief, which runs from Chicago to LA via the Southwest U.S., 2,256 miles.
And that would be the third of the transcontinental route.
Yes.
Huh. Okay. Does that go along the part of Mexico that America brought so it could run trains?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
We're living up to our heritage, baby.
That's the only thing I remember about history class.
And the great thing is that it doesn't serve the largest city in the southwestern United States.
Is that one of the ones in Texas?
Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't serve Phoenix. It serves like a place like 50 miles south of Phoenix because, of course, it does.
Because why would it?
Why would it serve
a big capital city?
Well, it's like the Zephyr, which goes to Emeryville instead of just actual San Francisco.
Well, that's just because there's no way to get over the bay.
Oh.
Like, you can walk to a BART station from Emeryville.
Oh, okay.
And get into San Francisco for real.
But
there's no rail connection from Phoenix to the Amtrak.
Yeah.
Because the Amtrak is presumably in the middle of bloody nowhere.
Basically.
Yep.
Serves Tucson.
Tuscan.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's funny.
Yeah.
Good on Amtrak for doing the best they can to provide usable service on these routes, despite rampant opposition from the host railroads.
Yes. And then the 4 weirdest trains the Amtrak has to offer. So Amtrak is the only international rail provider in the Americas.
Okay.
So it runs 3 routes into Canada.
Wow.
The Maple Leaf from New York to Toronto.
Aptly named.
The Adirondack from New York to Montreal. And the Cascades, which ends some of its northern trips in Vancouver.
That sounds useful.
And there may be a possibility that a new corridor, which like Montana and Utah and Idaho and Alberta want.
What, Pioneer Line extension to Alberta?
No. It would be a new route, actually.
Ooh.
So it would run from like basically Calgary, Edmonton, Great Falls, Montana, Helena, Montana, Butte, Montana, Pocatello, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas, LA.
Oh, so a nice straight up and down.
Yeah.
That's a cool route.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
Filling in a notable
I want to go to Calgary.
Filling in a notable north-south gap in the transcontinental
It would be
routes.
like circumferential service for 2 daily Amtrak routes.
Let's go.
Having 3 different Amtrak routes going through Salt Lake would be
That
a
would
big
make 4.
win. 4?
Because the Desert Wind, the Pioneer...
Wait, Desert Wind. What?
The Desert Wind would be here to Las Vegas, basically.
And
Just
then
daily service.
And then you can take your Bright Line west, theoretically, maybe, possibly, from Vegas to California.
So take a train from Salt Lake to Las Vegas, do some gambling, then go back to Salt Lake and go up to Canada so you can drink when you're 19.
Yes, that's right.
Cool.
Sweet.
That's right. Yeah, so those exist. And then there's a really weird Amtrak train called the Auto Train, which is a car carrier that runs from Lorton, Virginia, which is just south of D.C., to Sanford, Florida, which is just north of Orlando.
So it's like the Channel without the tunnel.
It's basically a Disney tourist shuttle from the Northeast.
But why cars?
Because you have to have your car with you, otherwise you will die.
But wouldn't the tickets be really bloody expensive?
Yes.
But
you
can just sit in your car.
Well, you don't. You get in a different car.
Because that's not...
It's not comfortable to sit in your car for 20 hours.
Or safe, either, because you wouldn't be able to open the doors.
Oh, okay, so it's packed in then.
Well, yeah, so there are cars, and then there are people cars.
That's just the weirdest crap ever.
Jeez.
So, like the channel with that.
So, do they sell tickets for just people who want to ride, or...?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay,
because there's nothing on either end of it that you can get there without a car.
So this could be the only train where you have to have a car to ride the train.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at the Amtrak
If you're going to ride
page.
this, you just want to ride one of the silver services.
Okay, let me see if I can find the ticket prices. This is
that is notoriously hard to do on the Amtrak website.
Oh, you can avoid the congestion on I-95 and put your feet up, enjoy the free Wi-Fi, and read a book.
Woo!
Ooh, you can take your van on there.
Read a book or go...
Can I take my big rig? Which I have.
See, I feel like the only good use for that would be if you wanted to sell your car in a different state.
That's
true. Because they would pay you more.
Although you can't get off midway.
Right, because the logistics of that would be bloody impossible. So this goes from Virginia.
It's very literally a Disney shuttle.
Wow. The mouse strikes again.
Thank you, Amtrak, for auto-completing the route because you can't do anything other than the two end stations.
Oh, so you can buy a ticket without a car.
It looks like it. $89 from Virginia to Florida.
Okay. Well, if you can find some way to get around at either end of the thing, that's not too bad.
I know, right?
Coach is not bad on Amtrak.
Better than an airline.
Oh, yeah. Oh. As has been established,
I tried to ride
flying,
Amtrak.
And Amtrak said no.
No, the weather said no. There was a washout over the tracks in Green River, Utah, and they couldn't keep going because of the Federal Railroad Administration as cowards.
Ooh.
Ooh. It was only 3 hours late.
Well, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, but like a fun fact for people traveling to Provo on a Sunday without a car. You can get down there via the Blue Line, the 871 and the 850, but getting back up, you have to leave at like 4 if you want to take UTA. But you can get the California Zephyr at 9:30 out of Provo to Salt Lake.
In the chance it's
and it's only like $14, right?
Yeah, it's $14.
Honestly,
See,
useful.
I kind of want to try that.
I did. It didn't work. But I think I was kind of the exception rather than the rule in that case, because normally Amtrak isn't delayed that badly.
Yeah.
It only gets a bad delay like once a week, and I happen to be on that day.
And you happen to be on like a particular schedule.
I've seen like...
I would have taken it if my friends hadn't made me not.
Wait, they made you not?
Yeah, they were like, oh, you're not going to wait out there for 3 hours. I'm like, why not? I have my AirPods.
That's when the weather was nice, too.
So they drove me out. But anyway.
Here we go. $269.
That's not that much.
$149.
Save you in gas.
Yeah.
And, depreciation and stuff.
Since driving costs 72 cents a mile, yes.
You can pay $89 for priority offloading of your car.
You can be one of the first 30 cars off the train.
I don't care.
Or you can motorbike for $150.
Not as expensive as I expected.
Can you take a regular bike?
On this train, I don't know.
You can on most Amtrak trains.
Yeah, you can just buy a ticket for your bike.
You have to reserve it crazy far in advance, though.
Don't you have to, disassemble your bike and put it in a box sometimes? Okay, that's good. I heard that was a thing.
So, that is part 1 of Amtrak. Tune in next week for part 2, where we talk about Amtrak's past, present, and future, as well as what's wrong with them and how we should fix it. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube and give us a follow and rating on iTunes and Spotify. You can visit our website at trlpod.com and follow us on Twitter at @theredline_pod.
For piping hot takes.
Piping hot urbanism. So, at $10, our frontrunner tier patrons are Curtis Herring, Mike Christensen, Phobos2390.
And Zach Adams. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Zach Adams.
At the red line tier at $5, we have Brian Smith, Christopher Whaley. What? Okay, wait.
Okay, so at our slightly above frontrunner tier at $20 a month, we have Zach Adams. At our frontrunner tier
at our frontrunner rush hour service tier, we have Zach Adams.
Yes, our frontrunner future express service to Ogden tier.
Let's go.
Okay, so at our slightly higher than frontrunner tier, we have Zach Adams at $20. At frontrunner tier at $10, we have Curtis Herring, Mike Christensen, and Phobos2390.
At our red line tier at $5, we have Brian Smith, Christopher Whaley, Jacob Whitecotton, and Robert P. Walsh.
At our blue line tier at $3, we have Ben Busath, DJ Will Watkins, hi Will, Ethan McDonald, and Martin Hawker Martinez.
Hi Will.
I said hi to Will earlier.
You did?
Yeah.
Good job. Oh, yeah, we did see Will earlier.
Hi, Will.
Recurring problem.
So, that's the episode. We have now had 1 year of the Red Line podcast, which is quite exciting.
Or at least that's coming up soon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Content be like.
Content machine is going burr right now.
It does.
I agree.
We are indeed burring.
Thanks for listening.
to make a remix of something of that. I want to have some fun with the outro music.
I'm gonna make a Christmas one.
Do it.
Do I still have
just add sleigh bells in the background and
or something like that.
Wait, so how much are we making a month now?
$72.
Okay,
that's must have been there earlier, right? But we didn't see it.
No, because it did say. It said 11 and 72, and I was like, I swear it was at 52.
You were right.
So I think this kind of changes the numbers on our Patreon sticker idea. So, Alex, you want to go do some graphic design? I think we've started on this previously, designing stickers.
What do you mean this changes the numbers?
We are now getting a large amount of money per month.
$52 is a large amount of money.
But 72 is larger.
Even larger. If a batch of stickers is 100 and something in the low hundreds. And also, we should do a Patreon exclusive episode if you would write that. I think that is an excellent idea. Oh, cool. We should record it at some point.
Sweet.
Next Tuesday or Monday and Tuesday we record?
What do you think about that, Alex?
Next Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. 6 p.m. on Monday and Tuesday.
One will be a Patreon episode, one will be Amtrak Part 2.
Sweet.